Man, oh man. Just when you thought it couldn't get any worse. T-Bar, Mace, SlapJack, Retribution. Listen, I know a lot of you guys do not watch the actual show. You just tune into the Amplified Man's review. You may think I'm fooling you right now. I'm trying to put one over on you. I'm just having some fun with you. But my friends, I wish that was the case. That is Retribution. You see, what Smackdown giveth, Raw taketh away. Smackdown handed Raw momentum on a silver platter Friday night. Roman Reigns, Mean Muggin' Jey Uso, signaling the fate of Uso, but more importantly, finally getting us a step closer to the Roman we've all been craving for. And speaking of a character we've been craving for, Big E. We finally got the Biggie we've all wanted for years now on Friday night. Sasha Banks and Bayley took it to a whole nother level. Alexa Bliss and The Fiend continue what they got going on, and that's an interesting dynamic. You got AJ Styles taking on Sami Zayn. Momentum was there for Raw to pick up on it, but just like Raw always does, right from the jump, right out of the gates, Monday Night Raw disintegrates, eliminates, destroys, dismantles, and kills that momentum on the spot. So we're stuck with Monday Night Raw, September 21st, 2020, a show that put me to sleep nearly 17 times. A couple of times it probably did. 21 times I wanted to put my dome piece through a cement wall, and the entire time I sat and watched befuddled at what I was witnessing. The one word that comes to mind. And my friends, this is not an over-exaggeration. This is not being over-dramatic. The one word that comes to mind for having to sit through 3 hours of Monday Night Raw last night is excruciating, because it was excruciatingly painful to watch this show. Retribution is still masked, but they're basically unveiled. You see exactly who they are now. Mia Yim, Mercedes Martinez, Dino Madden, Dominic Dijakovic. I believe Shane Thorne is even in there. But here's the kicker, guys. That's not who they are anymore. No, Dijakovic is now T-Bar. T-Bar! I once knew a T-Bar. He's serving 3 years currently for selling fake Rolexes in Chinatown, New York City. He was actually a good dude. He had a pretty legit operation. Just illegal as fuck. Well, now it looks like I know another T-Bar. And then there's Mace. Dino Madden is now Mace. That's right, Mace is out of retirement. He's gonna be performing with P. Diddy, and Bad Boy for Life is back on track. Mo money, mo problems. Mace is in WWE, and then there's SlapJack. Sounds like a dude you'd call from AAA to come and fix your flat tire. SlapJack? Seriously? I dread to even conceive what Mia Yim is going to be called from here on out. Mia Yim is probably going to be Jagged Skittles. Coming to the ring, Jagged Skittles. formerly known as Mia Yim. Mercedes Martinez, Knuckles? Here comes Knuckles. Get it? Because she punches people with her knuckles. It's Knuckles and Jagged Skittles with T-Bar, Mace, and Slapnuts. I don't know if I'm blowing out my mic yet. It's probably going to happen throughout this review because I cannot conceive what I witnessed last night. I can't comprehend how Dijakovic is now T-Bar, how Madden is Mace, and how there is a guy named Slapnuts on WWE Raw. And Jagged Skittles and Knuckles is on the way. And I don't even know about the other 15 individuals. How? How can you take something and fuck it up even more than you originally did? I don't have the answers. You would have to go to Vincent Kennedy McMahon for those answers. Nobody else but the old man in Stamford, Connecticut, because he's got the final say in it all. And when it is all said and done, when the lights go out at the end of the night, that son of a bitch keeps digging the hole of this company further and further into the ground. This is like a train that has gone off the track and you just can't get it back on. It's like a car going off the road and it keeps going straight into the ditch. It's like a rebel teenager. You see him going off into the wrong path. You want him to walk the straight and narrow, but you see from the jump, 13, 14, he's going off the rails. 15, 16, it's getting worse. 17, 18, he's in and out of prison. You can't get this kid on the right track. That's like watching Retribution from the beginning. Every wrong decision that could have been made for Retribution was made. And now we've gotten to this point where we have literally ran this sumbitch 190 miles an hour straight into a wall. And now we have T-Bar, Mace, Slapnuts, Jagged Skittles, and Knuckles. Retribution starts this show. The main characters unveiled again. Mia Yim, Mercedes Martinez, Dino Madden, Dominic Dijakovic. They cut a promo and the Hurt Business hit the ring for a fight. Retribution initially exits the ring, but only to regroup with another 15 dipshit members. And the Hurt Business receives an ass whooping because, again, there's about 20 of these dudes at this point, and that's the opening to Monday Night Raw. I honestly think, and this is the saddest part, guys, I honestly believe that when the old man got to the boardroom table meeting with everybody, all of his little dipshits underneath him, they honestly believed that this was going to be good shit. Not even a joke. They honestly thought this was going to be captivating. If that doesn't show you how out of touch somebody can possibly be. So right from the jump, you have a 3-hour show, and this is how you start it. You're thinking, oh, fuck us all right now. We are shit. If you review this shit, like if you've got thousands of people that are awaiting your review the next day and you have to watch it, you are in for 3 hours of fucking excruciating bullshit. I knew from the beginning. I was like, shit, all right, it's going to be one of those nights. First match of the night is to decide who takes on the Street Profits for their titles this Sunday at the Clash of Champions. That's right, there's a pay-per-view Sunday. Did you guys even realize that? Because I wouldn't blame you if you didn't. At this point, you should always assume every 3 weeks there's going to be a pay-per-view. No time to build any good storylines, obviously. No time to build an actual #1 contender. So how do we decide #1 contenders in this company, guys. Come on, you know it. That's right, you guessed it. A multi-man schmaz match. So that is how we are going to find the Street Profits tag opponents for Sunday. A multi-man schmaz match. This is a triple threat tag match. Rollins and Murphy versus Andrade and Garza versus Dominic Mysterio and Humberto. How the fuck does Andrade and Garza get another chance to be #1 contenders? How? And Dominic has lost nearly, if not all, of his matches thus far. How does he get a chance to be a #1 contender for a title? I tell you, man. If anything could possibly make sense in this company, I'd be one happy camper if just for a day. If you thought this couldn't get any worse, the Street Bums were on commentary, which means we had to hear Doughboy say fam 917 times. You know what I mean? Fam? And then it gets even worse. Andrade and Garza actually win this thing. So now we'll see these two teams for the 917th time. As many times as Doughboy says fam, we are going to get Garza and Andrade versus the Street Profits. I'm convinced that that's the truth. How weak is your tag division, right? How weak is WWE's tag division? If you're looking for an answer, there's a million answers you can drop. But how about just looking at Humberto and Dominic Mysterio? They're not even a tag team, bro. Bro, they're not even a tag team. Humberto and Dominic. And yet, they're in a match to decide the #1 contenders for the titles. Do you guys remember when tag wrestling was awesome, dude? I'm talking Rockers, Heart Foundation, Harlem Heat, Demolition, Legion of Doom, the Road Warriors. Guys, I can go on and on. Do you guys remember, like, you had to be built up. You had to fight your way just to become a #1 contender, let alone a champion. These days, you literally just have to find somebody in the back. I joked about it last week, but I am convinced that one day this is going to happen. You could literally get Kayla Braxton to come across Charlie Caruso, and Caruso and Braxton could be women's tag champions by next Sunday. I mean, that's where we're at right now with this company. We say nothing makes sense, but that is now an understatement. A tragic understatement. Look at the people in this match. It's a joke. At this rate, the Street Profits should hold that title, those titles, for the next 10 years. Not that I want that to happen. Not that that needs to happen. But realistically, who the fuck is taking it off of them? There's no tag teams in this company. They've destroyed every real good tag team they've had. FTR said, check you later. The War into the fucking soccer minivan machine. Eating chicken wings, listening to the Backstreet Boys, playing fucking board games, frisbee, decathlon, football, basketball with the Street Profits. You took a tag team like the War Machine and you made them a sideshow. What other ones? God, there's a plethora of tag teams they've just destroyed. And now we have Humberto and Dominic in a rematch for the 917th time this Sunday. Garza and Andrade versus the Street Bums. Oh man, I won't harp on it any longer, but I just, there's so much to unpack here. There's so much nonsensical bullshit, and I swear to you, I still, even as I unpack it to you guys, I still get the dipshit that says, BC, you're overanalyzing it. BC, you're being too critical and too negative, when all I am asking that person to do is think about what they're watching. Any TV show that you watch, don't you want it to make sense? Nobody would watch Breaking Bad or The Sopranos if it absolutely was just nonsensically irrelevant, if it just didn't make sense, if it was utter bullshit from top to bottom, if you could not believe in it at all, you wouldn't watch it. Even your sitcoms, King of Queens, Friends. I don't even know. Kevin Owens' show is up next with guest Shane McMahon. Shane has his own guest and brings out Dikembe Mutombo. That's right, that's what I call this guy. Anybody remember the NBA 80s into the 90s? I believe he was with the Atlanta Hawks. Big Dikembe Mutombo. Anyway, from here on out, that's what this dude's name is. Oh, spare me. If they can have T-Bar and Mace and Jagged Skittles, then I can call this guy Mutombo. So Owens looks at Mutombo and says, I haven't forgotten what you did last week to me. And he smacks the taste out of Mutombo's mouth, right upside his dome piece. Strowman then hits the ring. Shane is trying to break up Strowman and Mutombo, while Kevin Owens is getting a good laugh in the corner, but Aleister Black ends up jumping Owens. Takes his legs out from underneath him, pretty much drags him right into the corner, crotch first. And Aleister Black puts a whooping on Shane. Now, I wouldn't mind this actually, right? I like to overbook things. So you have these two behemoths, Dikembe Mutombo and Strowman face to face, and then at the same time, I'm talking literally simultaneously, you got Aleister Black taking out Owens. I wouldn't mind this if I cared about Black and Owens. Correct me if I am wrong, because this is rhetorical, guys. Didn't Owens just end this last week? Black gave Owens a cheap shot several weeks ago on the Kevin Owens show when Black turned heel. And then Black put the whooping on Owens a second time. And then finally, Owens defeated, clean I might add, defeated Aleister Black last week on Raw. That's right. This company backed themselves into a corner. No care was put into this. This is Aleister Black's first big heel feud. Maybe we should have this drawn out to a pay-per-view. No, not only did they not do that, but they also had Aleister Black lose flat on his back looking up at the lights to Kevin Owens last week. And then here they are this week and they thought, oh shit, we probably shouldn't have done that. Because now that's over with. Nobody needs to see anything else. The good guy, the face, got his ass whooped several times, and then he got his culminating moment. He got his revenge. Owens defeated Black last week. Now here we are. Why are we seeing this again? Black wants to redeem himself? So what happens? Now we redo this whole thing. The evil villain in Aleister Black keeps taking out the face in Kevin Owens, and then finally Kevin Owens defeats him again? Or is this all to correct Vince McMahon's wrongs and Aleister Black gets the culminating victory? Hope you guys are keeping up. This makes absolutely zero fucking sense. But I know, BC, you're being overly critical. You're overanalyzing. You, BC, you need to sit back, relax, and just enjoy this more. That's right. Why do I even bother asking for things to make sense? Let's just have... I want everything from here on out just to be as stupid as possible. Oh wait, we're already getting that. What am I saying, right? When we dumb ourselves down to that type of stupidity level, we no longer have a need or a want or a hope in the world for this company. We can just sit back and relax and enjoy everything. Because our standards are so fucking low, they're being met. Relax, BC, you don't have to criticize it anymore. We all decided we love this. Doesn't matter what they give us, BC, you should enjoy it. This company doesn't even know what they're doing anymore. Why did Kevin Owens beat Aleister Black last week then if this was continuing? Do you know how much you're destroying Aleister Black? A guy who should be one of the top faces in the company because the character justified such. And in just a month, McMahon had nothing to do, didn't know what to do with this guy. should be a top face on the main roster. McMahon doesn't even know what to do with him. So he turns him heel, and he has him lose his first culminating feud. And the culmination isn't even at a pay-per-view. It's at a random Monday Night Raw, weeks from Clash. And he's flat on his back looking up at the lights. So then the next week, Vince is like, fuck, well, we don't have anything else for you. Let's just keep continuing this Kevin Owens feud. And what are you going to do? You're going to have Owens lose next week to Aleister? You're going to put this on the pay-per-view and maybe Owens loses? So why the fuck did you have Owens beat Aleister? Just to have 50-50 booking and make both look like idiots? Nobody gets the spark here. Nobody gets a torch here. Nobody gets momentum. Nobody looks good. It's 50-50 yin-yang booking. Nobody ever looks good with 50-50 yin-yang booking. You guys ready for this next? Hour number 1 ends with Drew McIntyre versus Keith Lee. And it ends with Keith Lee being disqualified when Randy Orton attacks McIntyre with a steel chair. Guys, do you realize Keith Lee's booking the last 4 matches for Keith Lee? Now, mind you, he's brand new to the roster. I don't care about his fucking music right now. I don't give a fuck about what he's wearing. I need you to understand his booking. He came and he fucked with the biggest prison dude on the yard. Or one of them anyway, with Randy Orton. And then when it came time for their prison fight, their match at SummerSlam, Lee defeated Orton in just 7 minutes. You thought they were going to strap a rocket to this dude. You ready for his last 4 matches, guys? This is a true story. Keith Lee's last 4 matches. 2 losses to Randy Orton, 1 draw to Drew McIntyre, and now 1 disqualification to Drew McIntyre. That's his last 4 matches. You had him beat Orton in 7 minutes at SummerSlam just to lose back-to-back matches to Orton, then get a draw to Drew, and then get DQ'd to Drew. So now Lee can't even find a victory. He could not buy a victory right now if he had Ted DiBiase's TV money. That's Keith Lee's booking. But I'm supposed to just let it slide. I'm not supposed to critique this the most honest way possible, straight down the middle. I understand the truth may hurt. I understand we all love this and we don't want to hear these negative aspects being talked about time and time again. Basically every segment, BC, you sound so negative, and BC, you're critiquing so badly on every single segment. Well, no, I'm critiquing so goodly on every segment because this is exactly what needs to be talked about. Yeah, it happens to be bad because every segment is fucking atrocious. I don't even know who these wrestlers are anymore. Aleister Black is so phenomenal one week and then he's just a tragic sideshow the next. Kevin Owens is being booked into irrelevancy and then all of a sudden it looks like they're going to strap a rocket to his back. Then the next week he's back into irrelevancy. Keith Lee looks like he's going to be a world champion much sooner rather than later. In the next 4 weeks, he can't even buy a victory. I don't know who these wrestlers are anymore. This company doesn't care about how they book these superstars every week. They don't care about what happened last week, last month, 2 months ago, 6 months ago, last year. They don't care. They're showing up every single show and it's like a clean slate for them. Well, you can't have a clean slate. You have to build superstars. That's the only way you're going to build stock, and that's the only way that we can jump on board with who we like and dislike, who we're on board with and who we don't care for. You have to build superstars. You have to build champions. You have to build number 1 contenders. You have to build divisions. If you're showing up every show and you have a clean slate every show, every week, so the fans don't know who's who anymore or why we should care about anybody. Who's badass and who's not. We don't know anymore because the company doesn't know nor care. I hope this makes sense. This is absolutely tragic, guys. This is not just me bitching, complaining, ranting, raving. This is a serious issue that we now have come across. And we've been there for a long time. But I'm the only one that's going to actually call this out as a main fucking issue right now. No more just separating this as an individualistic issue. Now we have to put the whole promotion as one, because this is happening to everybody. Wow. I can't even. All this fucking raving and ranting, dude, and we're only into the second hour. Randy Orton starts hour 2 with a This is right after he attacked McIntyre. He cuts a promo on his I can talk. I need another fucking coffee. On his Clash of Champions title match with McIntyre. He cuts it by an ambulance that was parked by the staging area. This was actually a good promo. It's just lame as hell. This is your final build for your title main event match in just 6 nights. Orton, McIntyre, championship on the line. One of your main events anyway for Clash of Champions. And your final build is Orton attacking Drew McIntyre a couple of times right in that segment in the match with Keith Lee. And then at the end of the night in the main event as well. And then a promo by an ambulance. And that's your final build. Imagine being a supposed genius that Vince McMahon still claims he is and having 614 writers. A $1 billion conglomerate company, and the best you come up with is that. Mickie James is out next. Pro Wrestling's top-tier MILF versus 411 of Heaven, Zelina Vega. Winner takes on Asuka at Clash of Champions. This was sloppy, but I love these two gals, and I know what each brings to the table, so I'm not going to drag it too much. But I will say this. They had Zelina pin Mickie clean via the backstabber, which is half of Sasha's finisher. So Zelina shouldn't be having that as a finisher move. So I'm hoping this was just a one and done. I understand she's used it in the past. That is half of Sasha Banks' bank statement. I don't want to see another female doing that as a finisher. And don't get me wrong, again, I like Zelina Vega big time, but Mickie versus Asuka was the match for Clash. And once again, this company is absolutely clueless. Now, we should be happy that we're not getting Natty versus Asuka, because that's what Vince originally wanted. So he's throwing Zelina in there in an odd way. All of a sudden, Zelina has all this momentum. Zelina comes out of nowhere after the Thunderdome screw job to Mickie last week. Zelina shows up, slaps the taste out of Asuka's mouth. This week, she's beating one of, soon to be anyway, one day, a legend in the women's division, Mickie James. She's beating her like nothing. And now she's taking on Asuka, going for the championship. Again, I like Zelina. On one hand, I'm loving this. On the other hand, how the fuck does this make sense? And how do you butcher Mickie James versus Asuka for the Clash? They don't want Mickie James there because of what her husband Nick Aldis said about Monday Night Raw. Trust me. But congrats to Zelina, man. It's a big moment in her career. They have botched Mickie James so many times since she has returned. Then we get a promo vignette for Bianca Belair. She's out lifting a scrawny dude that clearly should stick to playing video games. We knew they had nothing for Belair, but this is just pathetic. I mean, when you think about when Belair actually debuted, which was a couple of months ago, and they didn't have shit for her. So here's Belair now, and what do we have? We have vignettes playing of her overpowering some scrawny dipshit. What the fuck? I'm pretty sure Drake Maverick could outpower this scrawny dipshit. Hornswoggle could outlift this dude. Bianca Belair is out here hopping around in a backstage vignette so people know that she's strong. Okay, what are you gonna do with that strength? What are you doing with it? She's gonna be in vignettes for 4 weeks and then she's gonna show up and you're gonna 50-50 book her? Is she gonna beat Natty 1 week and then Lana beats her the next week? Because that's how you book shit, Vince. She's gonna beat Shayna Basler 1 week and then the next week she's gonna lose to Nia Jax? McMahon does not know what to do with somebody like Bianca Belair. Trust me. That is why 2 months after she debuted, probably longer than that, I should say. I'm being generous with 2 months. She's been on the shelf since she's debuted. A couple of times we saw her with her husband Montez Ford. But that's the reason. Months after she debuted, you're just now seeing her in some vignettes that are stupid as shit. Unfucking real. making this scrawny dude look like an idiot in the gym as if that's hard to do. That's like me making Simon Miller look like an absolute punk-ass bitch in the gym. Of course I would. It's BC amplified. And it's Simon Miller. Mr. Puffy Arms would look like a silly fucking clown if he was to do a workout session with the Ant-Man. Well, that's what Belair was making this dude look like. That's not how you utilize Belair. We know what she can do in the gym. Now utilize her the way and what she could do in the ring, because that's what we need to see now. Fuck what she does in the gym. Or, crazy concept, you start these vignettes when you debuted her. No, they don't know what they're doing. Fucking company is in shambles. At least Smackdown is a breath of fresh air at times. At times. And even that show can put me to sleep or want me to put my dome piece to a cement wall. But at least when Smackdown comes on the air, I at least think maybe we could get a semblance of a good show. When Raw goes on the air, I literally, guys, I am like, is there even a chance we can get some good segments tonight? That's sad when you're just stretching just to try to get some good segments. That's fucking pathetic. Then something is happening in the ocean. Ninja Tozawa and a ninja referee, they're in the ocean awaiting R-Truth because they know his ocean time. They know when he has an appointment with the ocean or something. I have no idea. A shark is in the water, supposedly. Little Jimmy, who's an invisible little kid or something, little Jimmy gets swept away in the ocean. So R-Truth is trying to find this invisible kid while there's a shark and there's a ninja, a couple of ninjas in the ocean. I can't keep track. What am I talking about right now? What am I fucking talking about? Two ninjas, an invisible kid, and a shark, and an R-Truth all in an ocean. This is like a sad, pathetic joke that I'm about to tell. What the... How do I review this? Anybody who thinks it's easy to review professional wrestling, especially WWE, trust me when I say it is one of the hardest things you will ever do in your fucking life. Reviewing WWE is one of the hardest things you will ever fucking do. And that's just saying if you even have common sense, logic, knowledge for the business, if you have a keen eye to dissect the product, if you're entertaining, if you got the gift to gab, all the things that you need to have to be a legit, bona fide, good reviewer, even if you have all of those qualities, it's still hard as fuck. Because there's going to be times where even Vince McMahon will make it even more of a sideshow, and you'll be talking about ninjas, an invisible dude, and a shark in an ocean. And that'll be a 4-minute segment. I don't even know what to talk about there, guys. I don't know what happened. R-Truth lost his 24/7 title and Little Jimmy. I think he found both of them. The shark somehow... maybe the shark ate the ninjas because I didn't see the ninjas ever again. So maybe the ninjas got eaten by a shark. I don't know what happened. I don't even know. I can't believe I'm talking about this. Cedric versus Apollo is next. Cruz pins Cedric. I was bored because these dudes just bore me. Post-match Hurt Business strikes. This is all just excruciating to sit through. I literally thought... this is in my notes, guys. Exactly in my notes. This is all excruciating to sit through. That is what I wrote down at the conclusion of this match. Because I remember what I was feeling at the end of that match. I literally was rolling my eyes to the back of my dome piece and I was thinking to myself, this is really tough to watch. Like, I am laboring to watch this. I am falling asleep. I'm getting miserable while watching it. It was hard, guys. It was excruciating to the point where I had to put that in my notes. Seth Rollins starts hour number 3. He's got a DNA test in his hand in minutes. Minutes. What the fuck am I talking? I need another coffee. I really do, guys. I think that the whole ocean talk has finally fucking floored me. Rollins has a DNA test in his hands, and he invites the entire Mysterio family out to hear the results. He basically says Dominic is not your kid, Ray. But this is a storyline we did a long time ago, and both have alluded to that. Rollins said, I know we've done this before, but this is something we really need to talk about. Mysterio is pissed because they've done this before, and he just wants to move on. So Rollins says Dominic is not his kid, and Ray says, we've done this before. This is BS. This is what you want to waste our time with. We know for a fact Dominic is mine, so Seth, can we just move on? And Seth Rollins is like, no. Ray, I think you're right. I think I'm mistaken. I think it's Aaliyah who's not your daughter. So this pisses off Rey Mysterio, and Ray's like, Seth, can you leave her out of this? She's just 19, and she knows nothing about our world. She says she's a naive 19-year-old. And this pisses off Aaliyah because she's like, I'm a naive. That's all you look at me as a naive 19-year-old. So she storms off. Mama Mysterio storms off. Dominic and Ray follow suit. And Rollins is left in the ring kind of delivering a distraught promo like, this is not what I meant to have happen. I didn't mean to drive a wedge between the family of the Mysterios. But I guess sometimes that's what happens in families. And he looks right at the camera and he says, I guess that's what happens to some of your families. And he's acting so distraught. And I loved it. And he sets the mic down and he kind of walks off as if he's really ashamed about what he just did. I mean, that is a bona fide heel character at its finest. I would have loved this segment so much if the rest of the show wasn't so miserably disappointing. But the segment was actually good, even though it was rehashed. Seth Rollins brought it to life. Seth Rollins turned shit into gold. And you add Aaliyah, who's just one of the most beautifulest females I have ever seen in my fucking life. She just is. I mean, so naturally beautiful. Everything she does, man, is just wow status. Somebody's going to be a very lucky man in the future. Rey Mysterio has done good for himself as a father. To create something like that. Wow. So, I mean, for the Ant-Man, that brings it to life a little. But Seth Rollins, man, what a performance. And I give kudos to the entire Mysterio family for playing along and actually doing this for so many weeks. Because I'm sure the Ant-Man, just like most of you guys, we're kind of wondering why this is still dragging on. Well, wonder no more. I'm telling you exactly right now why it's dragging on. Vince doesn't have anything else, creatively speaking. So you're getting Aleister and Kevin Owens again. You're getting Keith Lee and Randy Orton and Drew McIntyre in some bullshit drawn out triple threat type of BS. Because this will end up in a triple threat down the line. I promise you. Probably next Monday night. You're going to get a triple threat. Maybe even at Clash. They're going to somehow add Keith Lee in there. But you're getting all of this time and time again because Vince doesn't know where to take anything, and he doesn't want to put the thought, the time, and the care into it, so you're going to get things for months at a time. And this is not what when we say we like long, drawn-out feuds, this is not what we're talking about, guys. This is not it. But at least Seth Rollins brought it to life, man, and if it did nothing else at all, it at least pumped up Seth Rollins' heel character, man. I really enjoyed that from Seth. Shayna Basler and Nia Jax versus Lana and Natty is next. That'll surely pique your interest, right? Lana and Natty versus Nia Jax and Shayna Basler. Liv and Ruby are on commentary. Basler taps Lana out in just 2 minutes. Post-match, Jax and Basler rough up Liv and Ruby, and Nia Jax puts Lana through a table again for the second week in a row. And for the second week in a row, she literally squashes Lana through a table. So this is more than just punishment because Miro, her husband, formerly known as Rusev, went to AEW. A lot of people think this is just punishment for that. No, this is double-decker punishment, guys. Lana was also the final nail in the coffin, the final straw that broke the camel's back in terms of the third-party sites and Vince being pissed off. Lana was doing the most marketing through other sites. That Bane commercial with the bikini, that was the final straw, guys. WWE was finding out about all this shit that she was pumping out and marketing, and Vince wasn't seeing a dime of it. And then they find out that she's like 90% naked and shit. And Vince is like, wait, you're supposed to be representing the company. And here you are doing all this other shit, 90% naked. We're not seeing a dime from it. So obviously Vince was going to get pissed off. So Lana was the one that really made WWE take notice. Like, hey, we have an issue here. And then what happened was the wrestlers got pissed off. They didn't want to get rid of their Twitches and all this other third-party site. So you started to hear the word unionizing. And Vince McMahon's #1 word that he hates more than anything is union. He does not want you forming a union because then you get benefits. Then you have Vince McMahon by the balls. He no longer controls you. A union controls their own destiny. It's just how it is. For the actors union, they have SAG. For truck drivers, they have the Teamsters. And a lot of workers, they form unions. And once you do that, man, the company you work for, they no longer have you by the balls. Right now, Vince, for decades, since he's had WWE, he's had his wrestlers by the fucking balls. And anytime you try to form a union, anytime he hears the word union, he finds the source and he fires you. Just ask Jesse the Body Ventura, where Ventura was trying to unionize wrestlers back in the 80s. Hulk Hogan ratted him out to Vince, and Vince fired Jesse the Body Ventura. And there's many stories like this. So once Vince tried to end these third parties, and then you started hearing the word unionizing, Vince backpedaled. And now you're hearing McMahon say, oh, you can keep them, but just use your real name, or you can't use character names, or we ask that you don't do this or that. He's backpedaling now. And that's because he doesn't want people unionizing. So this is all stemming from Lana. So Lana, I mean, if this was anyone else, would probably be fired. But because they just lost Miro over to AEW, I don't think they even want to play with that. So instead, WWE is very petty. They're just going to punish Lana. And this is absolutely punishment, guys. If you don't think so, I mean, this is not a coincidence. That 2 weeks in a row, Lana is being squashed through a table. And tapping out in less than 2 minutes before that even happens. This is all just for Lana to pretty much, to get fucked with. It absolutely is. This isn't a coincidence, guys. And I just gave you a couple of reasons why. But a lot of people think it's just because of Miro. That's actually not true. Thankfully, the Amplified Man is here to clear it up for you. Even more than the Miro situation is this third-party site situation. And even the talk of unionizing, just the talk of it. And again, it all leads back to Lana, and now Lana has to pay. That's how the old man in Stamford conducts business. Very, very petty. But as far as the match itself, I mean, this wasn't even, just like every other champion, they're just as insignificant with a title as they were without a title. Shayna Basler with a title is the same as Shayna Basler without the title. Cesaro and Shinsuke with titles is the same Shinsuke and Cesaro without titles. Finn Balor, when he was IC champion, was the same Finn Balor without an IC strap. Shinsuke with the US strap was the same Shinsuke without the US strap. I can go on and on and on, guys. And that's what I mean about champions don't feel like champions in this company. #1 contenders aren't. They're a joke. #1 contenders are made a week before the event in a schmaz match. That's not building up a #1 contender. So anyway, I don't even know where I was going with that. Just more fucking bullshit filler. This is what I mean. Vince McMahon is willing to sacrifice his own show, his own company, just to get revenge, just to be petty, just to punish one of his performers. That whole thing was just to punish Lana. And you sacrificed TV time for that. Your own fucking company, brah. This is what we're dealing with. Asuka defeats Peyton Royce via DQ when Zelina hits the ring and attacks Asuka. Billie Kay was in the corner of Peyton Royce. Then why did they break up in the first place? What the fuck did you have them break up for if Billie Kay is still right there with Peyton Royce? You should have just kept the Iconics iconic. But what the we're getting the same package. Okay, we heard the reports that Vince is very high on Peyton Royce, not so high on Billie Kay. So this was his plan? We're gonna split them up, and Billie, you can kind of act like a manager. I can't even. This isn't even picking things apart just to pick it apart. This is obvious, even to a casual fan. I don't see how anybody could sit through this show. Braun Strowman knocks out Dikembe Mutombo in 60 seconds during Raw Underground. Okay, good job building up Mutombo. All of Raw Underground, they have been building up Dikembe Mutombo. And it all leads to a random Monday Night Raw 60-second knockout. That's Dikembe Mutombo, guys. He just got knocked out in 60 seconds by Braun. There goes his beast status. Beast mode, no more. Don't try to tell me they're gonna rebuild him up. For what? We just saw this guy lose in 60 seconds via knockout. Same thing when they were trying to make Braun Strowman look like a beast and Lesnar tore his ass apart in 2 minutes. And 100 other different reasons why Braun Strowman looks like a fucking sideshow circus freak. When he should have been looking like a monster. 60 seconds and all of that work that they were spending on Dikembe Mutombo. Gone. Gone. Snap of a finger, blink of an eye, drop of a hat. Goodbye, Mutombo. Thanks for coming. Retribution versus Hurt Business was your main event. Dijakovic is now T-Bar. Madden is now Mace. In Thorn, I believe, is now Slapnuts or SlapJack, whatever you want to call him. SlapJack, that's right. SlapJack. I used to play a game. I don't play too many games, but back in the day, maybe it was Sega Genesis. I don't know. It was a basketball game, but it was street ball. It was just you and another person. It was basically you're at the basically how I grew up in the projects, and I just had this just beat up basketball court that we would go to, and it was basically street ball. Couple of dudes versus 2 other dudes. 2 on 2. First one to 21, you win the game. And there was a video game that was like that. It was street ball. It was cool. It was not the NBA. It was just 2 on 2 basketball. And I used to play this video game, and you could pick your street name and all that. These are names straight out of that, man. T-Bar. Actually, these are much worse than that. I'm pretty sure I didn't see SlapJack in there. And again, Mia Yim is probably going to be Jagged Skittles. I would not put it past these fucking idiots. Anyway, we have a bullshit disqualification on Retribution that made 0 sense. I didn't even understand the disqualification. It came literally out of nowhere. It's almost like they were pressed for time management issues. Add that onto the list of fucking problems with this show. Check. Time management woes. Check. So they rushed a DQ that was odd as fuck. Then 15 more Retribution members stormed the ring. Drew McIntyre in the Raw locker room then hit the ring. They're all brawling. Randy Orton hits an RKO out of nowhere on Drew to end the show. I'm not even joking. When this show ended, it was like a sigh of relief. Like a sigh of fucking relief. I once finished a football game when I played, this was during high school, for my high school team. We were undefeated. The season was 9 games, and on the, I don't know if this was the 9th game, or maybe it was the game before, 8th or 9th game, I don't know. But we only had about 12 or 13 players left. Now, you guys know you need 11 players to occupy the field, or else you have to forfeit. So no matter what injury you had to tough it out. I had something called a hip flexor. It doesn't sound that bad. But if you learn about hip flexors, and if you've ever had one, you know how painful they are. I had to play the entire fucking game with a hip flexor. Now, I've had many football injuries. I've dislocated / fractured my elbow in half and I was back months later. I snapped my ankle in half, and I was back months later. But a hip flexor should have taken me out of the game. Some people have to sit out a whole week with a hip flexor injury. I played the entire fucking game with that hip flexor because I knew I couldn't be taken out. And when the game finally ended, man, I could not have been more relieved because my body was broken down at that point because I was making up for it in other areas, right? Trying to stay kind of lean on that hip side. I was overcompensating in other areas, so by the end of the game, I was fucked up. I was so fucking relieved. That was a physical breakdown. Watching Raw last night was a mental breakdown. It was the same fucking feeling that I had when I was trying to finish that game with a hip flexor injury. That is bad when something that is physically altering my play and my just way of life is just as bad as watching a TV show. But that's where we were last night. I was literally relieved. Like I had just went through a 3-hour football game with a hip flexor injury. And I could not take a play off. I had to play both offense and defense because we only had 13 players. And I could not take a play off. I had to play the entire game with breaks and halftime, timeouts, everything. It was about 3 hours. This was the same fucking thing for me. It was so much work to get through. It was so excruciating. It was painful. But we got through it. We got through it, man. How can a show be that bad? I have a question for all you guys that made it through this entire review. How can a show be that bad? And I know there's a million answers. We start with Vincent Kennedy McMahon. We start with lack of care, no effort, resources, and energy not being put into it. Too many hands in the cookie jar. Too many people at top roles being fired, rehired, fired again. It's a sinking ship. There's a million different answers. But I'm just asking rhetorically. Just rhetorically, like how can something be this bad? Something we all grew up loving because it was so damn good, man. But yet here we are and it is so fucking bad. To the point where it is sad to watch it now. It is pathetic to watch it. It is sad to talk about it. It's embarrassing to talk about it. Man, when I was in high school, pro wrestling was on top of the world, bro. It was the #1 show in all of television. Monday Night Wars, it was called. Raw and Nitro. And let me tell you, man, you went to school, you were wearing your shirts proudly. It was either NWO, Stone Cold, maybe you had The Rock, maybe you had DX, but you were sporting your shirts at school, and you were talking pro wrestling throughout the day. And then you ran home to try to find out all the info on the dirt sheets, right? The internet was still coming into its own, so you had to kind of, it was old school. How you got your info from the dirt sheets was much different than today. But, man, when you had the inside scoop, you were on top of the world, man. That's how we watched the show, and we talked about it, and we loved talking about it. Now it's embarrassing to talk about it. There's no other way to put it. You know, Smackdown, man, for me, I saw so many good things, and I was like, man, keep this momentum. And I told you guys in that one, I said I'm not expecting a good Smackdown next week because consistency is not this company's strong suit. But I was at least hoping for some momentum to be there for Raw. Some momentum. It was the opposite. It was the absolute opposite. I think WWE put on a good show Friday night. Here, they put on one of the worst Raws I have ever witnessed. And that's saying something because the past several years, we've seen a lot of quote-unquote worst shows. But this one is right up there, top 3. It has to be. And I really do think, this is the sad part, I really think they thought they were putting on a good show. I think they thought there was a lot of surprises and overbooking and twists and turns. And at the end of the day, you could have all the overbooking you want and all the twists and turns and all of the shock value and the surprises. But if nothing makes sense, if all of it is nonsensical to the highest degree and irrelevant, And if you're not building superstars and storylines in the process, then everything you are doing is completely meaningless. It's useless. And you cannot ask somebody with common sense, logic, and a brain in their dome piece to grasp on to meaningless, useless bullshit. Because there's a lot of us that are not a part of the sheep. There's a lot of us that didn't forget what happened last week or last month. And we want things to make sense. And when they don't, there's no amount of Thunderdome experiences or fireworks or LED lights or overbooking or twists and turns. None of it will matter if your characters, your storylines, your shows don't make sense. If you're not building superstars up and building storylines and matches for the future. There's many places to start doing such. One of the top things you can do right from the gate, Vince, is to cut down your pay-per-views. Because every 3 weeks, you don't even give yourself time to build anything. Your audience does not have time to care about anything every 3 weeks. Back in the day, pay-per-views mattered because there was only 4 a year. And I'm talking before King of the Ring. It was Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, SummerSlam, Survivor Series. Before the King of the Ring even, it was every 3 months. And you had time to build superstars, angles, storylines, momentum, intrigue, suspense. It was all built to the culminating card at the pay-per-view. Man, I miss those days. Now it's every 3 weeks. Now you're just throwing matches out there left and right. Most matches are made just a week before. In fact, Tom Phillips last night said these words. He said, as they were going over Clash of Champions, he said, and many more matches too, guys. Many more matches. They couldn't even tell you which ones because they don't even know yet. So he literally said, and we're going to have many more matches. How many times do you see that, right? It's gotten to the point where they can't even advertise half the card. Usually it's made a week before. They can't even make half the card a week before. This is even confusing them. It's becoming too much work for them, and they're already half-assing it. I'm talking in circles here, and I'm just coming up with different ways to say the same fucking thing. So I'm going to start confusing myself at this point. Let's just end it like this. How can a show be this fucking bad? Just look at everything this company has done in the last 5 to 10 years, and that'll tell you exactly how a company can be this fucking bad. Smackdown is a breath of fresh air, and even that has a long way to go. And I don't even expect Smackdown this Friday to be anywhere near what it was last Friday. I think that was a pigs flying situation, a blue moon situation. I think they accidentally stumbled upon a good show Friday. That's fucking sad, man. Anyway, the Ant-Man. Thank you for joining me for this audio-only version. As you could tell, I didn't even say this at the top of the show, but you guys know the drill. I'm out in the world, but there was no way I wasn't going to give you guys a raw review. So hopefully you enjoyed it. And then we go on to, what's this? Maybe there'll be an impromptu tomorrow. AEW NXT on Thursday. I would like to go live with you guys this weekend if I'm able to do such. That'll be fun. I know you guys like doing that as well. So maybe I could do that sometime this weekend. And of course, SmackDown's review and reaction. That's it. I'm going to get another coffee. We all need to decompress after this shit show. But they've arrived, guys. They're here. T-Bar, Mace, Slapnuts, Jagged Skittles, and Retribution! It's Retribution! You sure you want to call them that, Vince? You sure you want Slapnuts, Mace, and T-Bar? Of course that's what I want! Listen to those names! T-Bar! Mace! Slapnuts! It's good shit! Oh, help us all. I'm out, guys. Check you.